have an expert set of panelists addressing how AI is rewriting marketing research today in the context of quality, clarity, and action. Next slide, please, Sunday. But before we dive in and I introduce the speakers you would be able to see on your camera, let me briefly speak about the MRSI. I'm sure many of you are familiar, but I'm sure there are a few of you who are new for this webinar today. The Market Research Society of India's mission is to create awareness of the industry among public at large and as well as the government. It's a premier not-for-profit autonomous market research body in India established in 1998. Members include providers, buyers, and users of market research and insights. The core context for the MRSI is to establish and promote not just awareness, but also make sure the professional standards are set at a high bar. And it's also a platform like the Wednesday webinar is for professionals to engage and showcase their work, thinking, and common challenges we face or the real boundaries that we are trying to redefine and push. Next slide, please, Sandesh. There's a lot of pictures on the slide, so I'll pause for 10 or 20 seconds. Just go back, please. Meet the current committee. We have Nitin, who's the president. Vice presidents are Puneet and Shubhadeep. Anila is the secretary, and the treasurer is Parijat. And there's a whole host of members who come from a cross section of our industries. Like I'd already noted, they are client-side users, service providers on the technology side, on the research side, and much more. As you can understand, an August panel like this, is always challenging, challenging what is happening outside, and some of the pieces that we bring to you, like the Wednesday webinar, is a culmination of inputs from this August committee. Next slide, please. The webinar itself is driven by Abhinav Goyal. He's the lead consumer shopper and marketplace insights lead from Nestle. Uttara and Adya from Third Eye are part of the committee. I'm your moderator today, as well as a member of this committee. The other two members, Amitabh and Shiv Kumar, form this panel, and between us, we challenge ourselves to kind of bring you the best content. Next slide, please. Meet our speakers today. We have Soham, Ashwani, Kumar, and Faisal. I'll just quickly say a few words about each of them. Ashwani represents TrayiStats AI technologies, and he has over 2 decades of experience in technology and business strategy. He serves as the strategic business advisor at TrayiStats, and organizes and builds intelligence systems that solve complex business challenges with confidence. His expertise spans AI, fraud prevention, market research, decision intelligence, combining deterministic rules, machine learning, agentic AI, real-time scoring, and more, right? So Ashwani, welcome to our panel today. And in our early conversation, I realized you are not from the trade for the 23 years. We are glad that we have you here, bringing a cross section of experience and pushing the boundaries for all of us. We also have Faisal Khan. He's the managing director of the TheSixth.AI. It's the AI solutions division of the SixthFactor consulting group. Faisal is shaping the next generation of AI-powered market research and consumer intelligence. You would see a glimpse of it later on when he speaks as part of this panel. He has over 2 decades of experience in the insights industry. He works at the intersection of AI, behavioral data, decision-making, and helps the organization he works for and others transform complex data into actionable intelligence. Welcome, Faisal, again. Soham, quickly. Soham Chakravorty is a CMI manager for skin cleansing at the Hindustan Unilever Limited. He has been with the consumer insights team for over 13 years, has been part of Unilever or Hindustan Unilever's consumer insights function for the last decade, and has wide experience across skin cleansing, tea, coffee, foods, and ice cream. And a bird told me in my ear that he is the go-to person when it comes to AI, within his broad CMI team. So glad to have you here, Soham. We will learn from your expertise and your experiences. Soham, we'll start with you. Tell us what's happening at Unilever. What is your experiences? And obviously, there are things you may not be able to share, but that's fine. Share what you can. Over to you.
Sure. So, hi, panel, and hello to everyone who is watching. Um, to answer Sundar's question, I think I know which bird told you that. And I think it's great honor to be associated to something that is so transient and important for our industry as a whole. Um, Across, and this is not just a Unilever conversation, I think across the industry, whatever categories you look at what we used to call client side, I think there are a lot of interesting things that have been happening. When AI first came, I recall a lot of soul searching, but I think as things started to progress, those nerves have calmed down, and we are looking at it in a new holistic way. If you just a second. So what I'll be presenting today is nothing but the market research in the age of AI. A big important part for large organizations such as mine or in any large organization is about cutting through the noise and getting better and good signal intelligence, right? But how did that we came happening? What led to it? Why and what does it mean for us is what I'm going to present today. To start at the very beginning of, or to say what's have been happening right now, what is the industry or what is the integration of AI looking like right now. I think for a lot of large organizations, what you will see is the start of synthesizing of a lot of data. What used to be a business question where your insights manager or business partners would hunt through 500 decks to 20 slides, go through old OneDrive saves. Those things are becoming much more synthesized because with the help of AI, what we can do is take a lot of information and it can give you quick, faster answers. So essentially what that leads to is that information now becomes searchable. So imagine uh, any large organization in that respect, which has hosts of data, a lot of studies, lot of learnings, lot of insights. You can now have your own search engine that could tell you with quite a bit of robustness. And it just democratizes the whole insights, not just for market research as a function, but for the whole entire organization. So anybody, say for example, somebody sitting in supply chain can as equally look into what does a brand stand for and why when marketers talk about certain way about a brand, they do, or the other way around can also be feasible if somebody in brand can figure out what's one of some of the leading principles of supply chain. So what does these two things end up becoming? What it does is essentially it makes decisions faster, but more critically, decisions much more closer because you have raised the floor and the ceiling at the same time. People can take decisions much more clearly. They can be less deck making, as a lot of people would blame corporates for, and more faster, clearer, connected actions or decisions that are being made. So, but what did we do? How did this revolution, so to call, happen? What are the things, what are the mechanics that's going behind this? And between the ambit of what I can and cannot talk about, in four broad strokes, what I can tell you is for larger organizations, there's a lot of ingesting of decks, data, numbers, reports, findings, organizing them through the help of AI. And when I say this, I don't mean just internal decks, but a lot of learnings on market research studies that we would do. A lot of learnings that have been left in the past, decks, reports that have not been seen the light of a laptop for some time. But those you can now ingest, you can organize, and you can synthesize. And what it ends up doing is it helps you translate those decks into clear insights and functions and learnings. Now, the big question that a lot of organizations, I'm sure, would have been doing is, or doing a little bit of soul searching is why do we need this? A big challenge that happens for any large company is that there's a lot of noise. And when we look at noise, we usually try and try to typecast it to unstructured noise. There's a lot of information coming. How do we source it? We had in the past those tools. We had trackers and dashboards. So why do we need AI to do it? My proposal to everyone listening in is that the noise is just not unstructured. Sometimes noise is structured as well. Noise is also panel data. Noise is also social analytics data. Noise is also 20 ad tests you have done, 5 pack tests you've done, 100 concept tests you've done. Noise is also doing multiple equity studies for a brand or every 3, 4, 5, whatever number of years. Those are all noises as well. And it becomes very difficult a lot of times, or a lot of big judgment has to be taken when you pick what you pick without sometimes missing the other. What right now the need for this was better signal intelligence discipline, if what I would call it. How do you take this unstructured and structured data, synthesize with the help of AI, and then come to meaningful conclusions? But again, the evidence of these data needs to also be weighted. And what I will go and continue to tell in my session is that while all these things are being done, there's a human element to it, because not all studies will have similar weightage depending on the questions being asked. So we needed to, it will encourage to say we need to have an AI in place and we forget about market research. No, I think the need for it to was to get those structured, unstructured data, get a synthesized layer, and figure out a way how to we can create evidence-based weighting using human judgment. Which leads to, where does market research professionals like me stand today? I think the answer, weirdly enough, has always, the first and most important answer has always stayed enough. It's just that the platform or the tools or what we use to come to those answers are helping and simplify our life. I think the first thing where any market researcher in the world of AI need to do and should continue to do is try to still continue to empathize with the needs and challenges of your consumer. You can have, for example, and why I say this is comes from the point of the connecting dots, is that you can have one AI tool synthesizing a lot of data and say, and this is just a personal experience speaking about, I'm not quoting anyone, is that why X% of consumers feel that coffee on Saturday, Sunday morning with their spouses is extremely important and sacrosanct, because they feel it's time to connect. You can figure out from a study why percent of consumers drink coffee only on the weekends in the morning. Now, those two are quite interesting insights. Those two are, but also those two are functional insights. You can then take those two data and create a weekend coffee or whatever. But the key remains, you have to still figure out or empathize with consumers. Why is that the case? Why is the coffee on a Sunday morning so important? Why does such large proportion of consumers might be having coffee only on the weekend on Sunday morning? So you have to live on those your consumer shoes. You have to live their realities and you have to empathize with their problems, because even now lot of things remain unsaid. For countries like ours, where there, or any country in general, people say a lot of things and they don't say. It still becomes important for every market research or consumer insights professional to have that empathy with your consumers and know what is the hidden feeling, meaning, emotive connect behind that data points. And that's where the magic of marketing lies, which leads us to connecting dots. So what market researchers which should be now doing or would be now doing is they will be connecting these dots between what is you're getting functionally from AI, which is synthesizing a lot of data and taking those emotional or empathetic connects with your consumer, figuring out solutions. But at the end of the day, the judgment will be still on you. As I kept on saying in the previous slide, is that not all truths hold equal weightages. There are a lot of contradiction is nature of our game. We have one consumer can say two vastly different things for the same thing. So when to do what weightage to give where, is where the final judgment or decision will be taking. I think the best example I can take, I'm an avid fantasy science fiction nerd. So think of AI or the system and processes as that wizened um, mentor character who has lived through the journeys. They have lived through their own realities. Take for example Gandalf or Dumbledore, for example. They have vast sources of information to give you, tell you how the world works, what has happened in the past, what might be. But at the end of the day, you are the protagonist of that insights. You have to take the call and you have to live the journey and live with those actions. It's just that you have a Gandalf or Dumbledore now ready to tell you how things are. It really is how it works in the world, and you have to get out of your proverbial farm or in the small room behind the uh, staircases and take that journey. But yes, you have someone to tell you very clearly. You don't have to figure it yourself. And lastly, I think it's all this is going to help you make much more decision oriented. How does it impact this? That is something from our client, our side. For our agency partners, I think if you have to ask how it pans out for them, net I do not feel what we are asking has fundamentally changed. A usage and awareness attitude study will still be a usage attitude study, but I think the ask has now been, how do we use AI to make our studies more robust, more trustable, more relatable? How do we make our studies go from PPTs to a model in itself? Why can't a large scale segmentation study where we take needs into typology and make very different demand spaces, why can't those be articulated through different AI chatbots who you can talk to and get real live examples and reasonings from? So net nothing has changed. In the same, or in the tenacity or the philosophies of how we do research, is that the tech would enable us to do it better and come to uh, more clear, sharper, smarter solutions that could democratize insights, not just for market research, but across the whole corporate industry or whatever, whoever you have you. So again, if you have to leave with two simple sentences from me on what AI is or will be, is that AI helps you amplify your research functions, but and I cannot stress this enough, that human insight gives it meaning. All those things are not lost. It's just that it is now a great boost behind our back to do a lot more things with our consumers. Yep.
Thanks, Soham. I have a few questions for you before we
Sure.
move to our next panelist. But let me make an announcement which I forgot to make earlier. Uh, Audience, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, just type in the questions window that you would see on your go-to webinar screen. I would bring them up at an appropriate time, either at the end of each panelist's session, or towards the end where we will have a Q&A. For those questions that we are not able to address within the time of the webinar, be assured that we will request our panelists to answer those, and it will be posted along with the recording of this webinar in case you want to forward it or share it with any of your colleagues. So I'm back to you. The science fiction aficionado, right? So what is the science fiction that you would refer to that we are living today as AI? Is there a deja vu context that you can give us?
I'm too afraid to say it, but these are the beginnings of uh, maybe an Asimov novel. Or
Okay.
I would refer, actually, the fear is a lot of people think this will be Star Wars. I would say this is more Star Trek. I would like to believe that it will take us through a brighter future where it solves a lot of problems or takes away a lot of human biases. But at the end of the day, still Captain Kirk and Picard going around and taking those calls. So while data is there, you still need Spock.
All right. That's interesting. A bunch of other questions, Soham, for you, right? Any new tool, needs all of us to reorganize our workflows, right? And you did refer to earlier when you spoke about some study that was sitting in somebody's laptop, which nobody knew existed. Now you can actually use it. You can call for it. You can get one of the, LLMs to synthesize and compare it with something else that you have and provide that information. So can you speak about a few, I would say, contextual workflow changes or system changes that, in your experience, you had to live through, let's say, in the last 12 months?
I think the one I'm just thinking of what I am at the liberty to share. I think a few good system changes would be creation of a lot of agents in our company, which does specific standardized tasks. So it has gone from us referring to 5 or 2, 3, whatever slides decks you can gather, to a much more holistic reasoning. Because what agent can do, what human could do too, is that the agent can take, for example, I'm just quoting randomly, nothing to do with my organization. You can take 5 equity studies, and you can see over time the changes to the brand with someone. Can humans do it too? But it takes a lot of rigor, experience, and understanding of both the brand and the study to look at how the equity of a brand has evolved. What we would do sometimes in the past is that I do a study right now in 2026. I will ask consumers, "Okay, what was the brand for you 3 4 years back," which they can refer, but a lot of those would be claimed. But you can see in the actual study, for example, in this regard, that over the last 2 decades, how have consumers looked at the brand differently? That's where the AI helps. Can humans do it? Yes, humans can do it, but it also requires a lot of learning, experience, regimen, and understanding to do it. Now, with the help of AI, you can do it with much more precision and robustness. And then the human element comes in to add nuances, business context, and understanding to make sense of how would a brand may have moved from last 20 years ago to now. In terms of data, I think again for a lot of larger organizations, there's a lot of data, and sometimes those data and dashboards don't talk to each other. Right now, with the help of AI or bots or whatever have you, those data are now starting to speak to each other. So it makes for faster decision making, cross-panel data extractions, and which leads to larger insights. You're not sitting here, sitting there and making 500 Excels, making 20 just to make 20 slides. An AI can synthesize it. I think those are the ones I can say safely.
So would you say you go home early these days?
I always go home early. We believe in work-life balances, but I would say I have much more productive amount of work hours than I used to do. A lot of my work hour would now be, if I have to break my work hour to collecting, organizing, and synthesizing as 50, and doing the insight and decision making as rest of 50. Right now, the collecting synthesizing would be 20, and a lot of decision making. So you can take a lot of calls inside decision making, go back to drawing boards, advise business partners much better. So maybe the hours have stayed same, but I might be using those hours much more judiciously.
All right. So there's a question from Kalai Raj. So his question is AI leading to a leaner organization, removing layers? And now AI reduces most of the requirement for human intervention.
I think AI is leading to a much more productive organizations. I think you still need those people to take those calls, take those judgments. Study has, okay, from a market research perspective, let's talk that. I can talk more authoritatively on that. You still need someone to be the legs and hand and foot behind doing a segmentation study. For example, in this example, you still need more people to go to consumers and ask questions. I know some studies have gone online, but you still need people to set those up. You still need people to consult and advise business partners on what tool or what study or what methodology is the right for the business answer. It's just that these people are, or us for my example, we are doing our jobs a little bit differently. I would like to say again, believe in the Star Trek future. I'm doing the job I always wanted to do. Is that insights, and not the job of pulling 500 sheets of Excel from any panel dashboard. So it will, I do not, I would like to feel that it will make a more robust and productive organization.
Sure. And I wish, Soham, that I joined the trade today, right? I mean, we don't need to go through the drudgery of the 500 spreadsheets, as you said, right?
Oh yes.
Thanks a lot, Soham.
It's fun to do segmentation data by hand, looking at Excel and doing those needed typologies. You don't need to do it now. For thank God
Yes,
for that.
absolutely. I think a lot's shifted. Humans can play and bring the context, provide the judgment that is required to make the decisions. Superb. So thank you so much. Uh, for the rest of the session, the focus will be on how research quality can get better, how interacting with information and synthesizing what you need can get better. That's really what Ashwani and Faisal will speak about. But we'll just have Ashwani come in right now, speak about how the work that his organization is doing and how his expertise in fraud detection is kind of driving better quality for marketing research. Ashwani, over to you.
Thanks, Sundar. Thanks, Soham. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, today actually, I want to talk about the three simple words. That is the theme of this webinar is like quality, clarity, and excellence. So, because whenever AI makes a decision in our day-to-day research, generally there are three questions that we should ask to ourselves. First one is like, can we trust the data that what we are feeding to the AI? Or second one is like, can I explain what AI did actually if we're making some decision? And third one is the most important part, that who should make the final decision? Is that the AI or is the researcher, right? So some human in the loop that we are talking about, right? So we will go through these things, but they will happen in order. Like first it begin with the quality, then clarity, and then actions. Because if we know that input is bad, so AI doesn't fix it, right? So we will just give you the bad answer in the more confident way. So that's why. So we have to first focus on the quality. So okay, let me go to the next slide. Okay.
Ashwani, should we ask Sandesh to take over and move the
There
slides?
is a lag. Why? Uh, I'm trying. I'm trying. Just give me a
All
minute.
right. Okay.
Yes, lag. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's slide two. Okay, so let me start simply that why the quality come first. So like whenever we build any AI system, I think we should ask two three simple things, right? First, it should catch what simple rule is not able to catch. Just like simple rule or simple workflow is not able to do it. So is the AI should be able to catch it. That is called the quality. And then second one is like it should explain why it was made that call. That is what we are talking about, a clarity. And third one is like it should leave the final decision to the human, that we are calling it a actions, right? So just like I told you that because if you can't trust who is your respondent is and how they answered, so good explanation from AI. If you are putting that data to the AI, then obviously it will not give you the right decision. It can give you the wrong decision in the faster way. So that's why we have to focus on the building the quality things. So I'm moving to the next one. So and we should also like okay, why the old method is start working, or maybe the old method of getting the fraud detection or maybe filtering out the fake respondent is not working always, right? So that is the one thing that we have to focus. Maybe Sumesh or Sundar, can you move to next slide because I'm getting some lag or what? I'm trying to do it. Yeah, thank you. So the problem is that these are the four answers which can be put on the one question. So just I'm giving you the scenario. Like suppose one scenario is like suppose it's 11 in the night and then there is a client call tomorrow at 9 a.m. So what we are doing, like we are doing some thankless job in research, like cleaning the open ends, right? So open end responses. So the question is simple, like we have asked just for in this example, what do you like about your mobile network and what would you change? So there are four answers. I have labeled it as a human AI. This is just I have labeled it because I have validated it. But if we remove the label, so I am assuming the same way that you guys are assuming that okay, we can't judge on giving the output of the answer. We can't judge whether it's AI written or human written. So so you can see the first answer. Maybe you have first thing is like if you see the first one is like look like very polished or balanced, and always we are saying that okay, it's very polished and balanced, then it should be AI generated, right? But it's not like that. It's a real person, probably like someone who is write daily office email, right? So they can write this type of response also. It's not like always AI can write the polished answers. The second one is like we can see there is a lowercase, careless, or missing apostrophe. So that feel like, okay, is this like human, right? So, but it's not like that. It's a bot. So idea is that if you train the or if you change the prompt to whatever the conversational based AI models, then you can get this type of output easily. So this is not the same thing whatever we were assuming 2 years back when the chat GPTs came into the picture. So we can see the really that from the answers that is if it even if it is looks like a human things, but it has been in a bot feeded. The third one is like where I have labeled is AI written. Obviously, we have things that this type of keyword like seamless, enhanced experience. So scream out is like AI, right? But also we can expect that one of the colleagues like who generally write like this, they can write the same thing, right? So it's not like always is AI written things with some keyword or phrases, right? And the fourth one, the last one is very much interesting, that where the particular thing is written that okay, the signal is dropping on the third floor. So we will assume that be honest that okay, it feels like is our own house. So that's why it can be human. But we can say right now, if we train the model or if we can fake the model, then obviously we can get the same type of response from the AI also. So trick is that the idea is that whatever the trick we have trusted many years, like trap questions, maybe the good eye or gut instinct, so not enough to justify or just not able to come into the position to evaluate the things that okay is the right or wrong, right? And many AI director tools are like everyone is rushing right now these days. So sometimes they are punishing the non-native speaker, even though we know that some of the respondents are real, but they will thrown out because the model are mostly trained on the English. So that's why they are always punishing the non-native English speaker because English is not their first language. So, but from the research point of view, we think that okay, this is a not a good thing because we are losing the real respondent data, right? So what I'm trying to let me very clear about that, what actually our job is to that is not to cache the AI answers like for open ends. So whether it's written by AI or not, nobody can really promise that actually. So our job is to flag the low effort or inconsistent answers and put them into the front of the human to decide. So that a human in the loop is coming here, so that we are not quietly rejecting anyone. We are just giving you to the indication based on the signals and how we are doing that. Uh, okay, maybe I will put in next slide. Yeah, Sandesh, can you move it to the next slide? Yeah. So here is that while we are keeping the quality as the primary focus, then first before moving into the AI, we are totally, or you can say the majorly we are relying on the machine learning. So there are lots of stats model and lots of machine learning model who can just give you the signals on different type of behaviors. So this is where the machine learning become useful. So like there are some basic checks like proxy, is this a proxy, VPN or state lining? So everyone already has those one, right? So that is not a very clever part to build something that okay, you can check only proxy, VPN or something straightforward things. So here the two real places where we can see that is give a value at. First one is the behavior, like not what they answers, how they answer actually. So think about that. Maybe just an example that think about how you spot a stranger in your neighborhood, right? So you don't need a list of criminals to identify your neighborhood, right? You just know that who belongs to your neighborhood and because you know everyone else, right? So that is the same way what the model is doing, the machine learning model actually I'm trying to tell it here. It's whatever the behavior of the respondent, like suppose we have a lots of signals coming from the browser, just like how the cursor is moving, what type of rhythm of typing, and also ask the compare this everything else, whatever the like more than 80 or maybe 100 signals are coming from the same web browsers, and that's comparing everyone else in the study. So it's like not talking about any global things, is talking about only specific to this study, how this person or responded is stand out, right? So it's not like that get a list of blacklisted global blacklist and then you can reject the respondent based on the global blacklist, even though behavior is and everything is data collected on the particular study is the fine, right? So because we know that okay, every fraud at scale, like on the bulk level, is leave some fingerprints. It's not like that always you cannot catch, but it's give you the signal to catch it. So suppose an example like one operator or one vendor is filling 100 survey using the bot, and those 100 surveys looks alike. So a pattern, whatever we are trying to identify using the machine learning, a human cannot catch across the thousand, right? So, but a model is spot in the seconds because we are developing the model and maturing the model based on the data quality that okay it should help us to take the decision faster. I can relate with the one of the example like a few months back we checked a study on paper. Everything looks clean, like no VPN, no repeated IP, nothing like usual checks has to be flagged, right? So, but the way the people are answering just felt off that okay, when we look closer, then it looked like a group of fake responses all working together. So just we are trying to say that if we have trusted only the whatever the plain paper or old checks, then maybe the everyone whatever the fake responded or whatever we are trying to say that is a working as a cluster, it may be landed into the good responded in the client report, right? So first one is the behavior that which is helping with the help of machine learning, and second one is that this is something that network level tool cannot detect, like it read the answer themselves, like what if there is old answers, so it's like read the answer itself and actually just to relate the question that okay is there something in relation with the question itself that has been previously asked, or is just an empty word, right? So does it quietly contradict what it was said earlier, like some of the responded? So it's like relating the signals based on the what particular study. And these two things I really want to be remember that this is just a example that based on these all different type signals, it gives you the based on the confidence some score. So you can see that okay, there is a composite risk that here 81 out of 100. This is just a score, which means it's a very high risk because this is just an example. It's a score, not a verdict. So it's not the system accusing anyone. It's more like you can say that it's like smoke alarm. Like it doesn't say there is a fire, but it's just a, okay, there is a one worth a closer to look, right? Why the smoke alarm is buzzing, right? So move into the next slide. Yeah. So here we talked about the till now we talked about the quality. Now it comes the clarity and accents. Love that like catching what the rules cannot see, but catching a bad response is only the first step, right? So now the two that decide what we have to actually do with this data, right? So that comes into the clarity and accent into the picture. So I will start with the clarity because if suppose I have given this number like 81 out of 100 to some researcher, then obviously the first question will ask what and why, what does it mean actually? So right, so this becomes a clarity part where the machine learning does the detecting, but the language model, that is the large language model that we are calling as a AI, write the reason in plain English. So that's you can see that every single points that we have collected from the signals from the first phase on the data quality, it becomes factual, not a creative one. So it looks like a behavior looks, and we, if you read the all the context, that is will give you the all the signals and give you the information where you can come into the conclusion that okay, what you have to do, right? So it's just like a recommended actions which is like a challenging or maybe the re-verify before accepting any things. And notice here the one word is recommended. It's not like that rejected or not decided. So final call here is still human in the loop. So I mean, this belongs to the research team, right? So this is what we can say the clarity matter. So and this is the reason, like when the client asks, okay, why you dropped 100 or 150 responded out of this total one. So you have a real reason, right, for every single case, because only you giving a score cannot explain that score that you are defending, right? So now comes into the action part. Action part is because let's be honest that no one is hand checking 1,000 responses at 11 at night, right? So like suppose in this example there are 2,000 responses as an analyst I have to check. So I cannot go one by one in a very short time. So here the AI and all the things is helping to get a conclusion that okay, that we have to find out if some signal is very strong to identify the things, then we can simply reject and give you the signal that okay, there is no need to check on all the things, right? Something like we can relate with the airport security, like where we can see that most bag goes straight through the security, but only few need human check, right? Second look or maybe pulled aside by the security, right? So same way, like if required some human intervention, like there is no straightforward signal to give you the justification that it's either a not fake or something like that, then only comes human into the picture. And AI job is to just make the decision and make sure that if human actually need, then there should be reach to the human, right? So we can say that quality, clarity, and access, whatever the model flag, model explain, and model routes, at the end every steps the researcher has to decide. Right? Next slide, please. Sandesh. So final thing is that the shift is here from the cleaning data to the trusting data. So let me invite this matter far beyond the fraud. This is not only related to the fraud. Look at this. Like on the left side, you can see the same prompt I have given, but there is a two scenario. On the left side, I fed with the metadata that like AI written data or maybe the bot included data. And you can say the conclusion what AI is giving, that seamless enhanced experience, which is actually not genuine, right? Because we have already put it as a bot or maybe the fake respondent data, but we can see that the whatever the conclusion is coming as a clean, confident insight. So we cannot directly blame to the AI that always giving you the wrong information, because at the first level our data quality is not very good to come into the conclusion. So idea is that we should first focus on the quality of the data before moving into the AI layer. In the same way, you can say the right side, same model, same thing, but only the data has been cleaned. So you can say that, okay, the insight is totally different and it looks like, okay, the real people told us that, okay, we should focus on the pricing, coverage, and service, right? So what idea is that the real risk of AI era is the bad data doesn't disappear inside the AI. Like we can say in the left side, that it comes out as more polished, more confident, and harder to challenge. So it's not like we can say that AI can give you the always the contextual based information or data, is only used to mention on the clarity and quality, right? So overall, what I'm trying to say that always human in the loop, but there is where I believe that AI create a real value, not by replacing the researcher judgment, but by helping us to make a better decisions or with greater confidence, because you are getting the confidence level of each of the signals. That's thank you.
Got it. Thanks, Ashwani. I think there are a few takeaways for me. One is it's not like you feed a bunch of information and AI will promptly give you the answer. It's far more nuanced. For example, you did illustrate how a composite set of scores coming from several machine learning models actually help you qualify whether a response is suspect or not, right?
Yeah,
And I think you illustrated very well that while AI is here, it can do many things. We still need to kind of think through what LLMs or RAGs or whatever form of AI you want to call it today as AI can do and what it cannot, and use it appropriately. I think that's one big takeaway for me, right? And I
that's
think
right.
the layering is important, right? And
Mm.
that's fantastically described. And the last point that you made about how information that is incorrect can cloud your decision, right? And you illustrated that very well with how the context of the mobile service provider and what the response or what the synthesis from information that AI provided versus what at least your system believes that humans provided gave, right? And I think that's an important distinction that we all need to keep in mind, that the synthesis models or the LLMs can actually build on and become more confident with a lot of falsehoods. And
Right.
I guess I go back to what Soham said. We are still needed. We still need to make the right judgments. We need to have the context. We need to be able to see through some of this. So I think the job of the insights person is, obviously shifting. And Faisal, with that, I'll lead to you. But I'm also going to put you on a little bit of time pressure. So you have about 10 odd minutes to tell us how AI is synthesizing information and providing the directions in the product that you guys have built. Over to you, Faisal.
Thank you very much. I think these Soham and Ashwani have set the beautiful fundamentals of our understanding, so it makes my job easier. I think Soham talked about trust, robustness, relatability. I think that's a lot of strong words associated with AI, which is absolutely true, because often I hear in the context of AI discussions are all about speed, faster analysis, faster reports, presentations, about cost efficiencies. And while those are realities, those are not what makes AI important. It's what Soham talked about trust, robust, and relatability. And because the questions haven't changed. Or even the whole black box association that what is AI, and then you have people like Ashwani and organizations like this that are what I call Thomas Edison in the world of AI, which are bringing light to the black box. So with that, I'll get started in terms of, you can move to the next slide. There are a lot of use cases that are possible with AI, and these use cases can be across whatever, as marketing researchers we're familiar with, trends, understanding testing concepts, ideas, understanding brand health, doing segmentation. So these are all, and like Soham rightly said, the questions haven't changed, so it's the same types of study, and AI can be layered in, built in across these types of study. And it's the accessibility that AI is providing us to all of this, and helping us make things more trustworthy, more relatable, and changing the dynamics. I could have chosen any use case to drive home the point, but I've decided to lead the conversation with brand health, for a couple of reasons. One, because it's one of the most standardized form of researches. The core, at the core, it stays very similar across organizations. It's also the most familiar and one of the most oldest forms of research. It goes 3 generations back. It's been 60 years since the time we've been doing brand health. But the eras have changed, the generations have changed, and we're still, there is a need today to add layers to what we have built out these many years ago, because we live in a different era. We live in a digital era. We live in an AI ecosystem where we're constantly leaving behind behavioral signals for brands that can be captured, that we can be utilized to understand how people think, feel, intend to do with different brands. And I'll talk about a few of them. There is there is a search. If you can just show the, yeah, let me see if my, yeah, there's search data. Search is an active consideration of a brand. So if I'm actively considering a brand, there's a very high likelihood for any one of us to actually go on Google and search for the brand. And when I start looking at that in a competitive context of what's my share of search in a certain, operating in a certain category with other brands, it becomes a very powerful point, and it almost becomes not almost, but it actually in some markets, in some categories, becomes the lead indicator of what we call market share. What I'm looking for today, what I'm actively interested today, might materialize in what we actually see in the market a few years from now. The other is, if we move on here, is socials, which we're all familiar with. We are all of us in some shape or form interact either as passive or active users on socials, but it's where narratives are formed, where perceptions are built, where brands are communicating. It's the new medium of communication, or the new messaging medium from brands to consumers and from consumers to brands. It's that two-way communication, and the entire narrative is built around socials. And the last is not the last, but the second last is reviews, which is lived experiences. So there's promises that are made by brands, but then there are experiences that are shared by consumers. What AI helps us do, these are all signals that there is more and enough of information of brands sitting out all this. And when we look, while we can understand from our traditional brand health metrics, you can look at awareness, you can look at loyalty, recommendation, but when you layer it with a further behavioral data, which consumers are leaving behind in huge data sets, that becomes very powerful. And what has really changed the dynamics, if I show you the last point here, is AI assistance. This I'd like to spend a few seconds or a minute perhaps, is this is almost saying that we have a parallel consumer. So earlier, the job of brand custodians was to understand and measure and influence consumers directly. Now you have AI assistants. You have to also, in addition to directly doing that to consumers, create a mechanism to measure, influence AI assistants. Because when I say AI assistants, I'm talking about LLMs, I'm talking about the ChatGPTs, Claudes, Geminis, Groks of the world. They hold an opinion about you. So when I, as a consumer, am going online on a ChatGPT asking for a recommendation, does my brand show up or not? Or when I ask the strength or weaknesses of a brand, does it show up or not? How is it projecting my brand? So all the questions we talked about, right, from awareness, consideration, etc., or that we help understand from consumers, it also becomes important to ask AI assistants and understand that. And together, this becomes the digital ecosystem where you're able to get a full picture of where your brand stands, because this is where influence is happening. This is where decisions are being made, even before anything else, where you're actually visiting to a store. If you move to the next slide, it's the same 4 points I'm trying to bring together. These are 4 independent metrics, but they all are correlated with each other. They all are the what's and why's. And what AI not only gives us access and scale to analyze all that data, but also correlate and understand how they impact each other. And I'll give you a small interesting snippet here, but based on a very behavioral study looking at IPs of website behaviors and how people move from one website and how they spend the day on different websites, there is a 90% probability of someone who's on ChatGPT looking for something, the next site they go to is Google search. And the vice versa is also true. When you're on Google search looking for something, there's a 70% probability you're going to go on ChatGPT for more information. So the point I'm trying to drive together, all this comes together to form, like in the world of traditional brand health, we have our indices and index to understand how they're coming, and we have metrics giving different weightages to awareness, considerations, past usage, etc. The digital world also has their own form of inputs that form that index to have a full understanding of the brand health. And when you look at what's not sitting on this slide but outside the slide, is also your traditional brand health metrics that further can be strengthened and correlated with all this data to give you a big picture. The point to drive is really that today traditional brand health doing only the traditional brand health as we understand it to be, leaves us a huge blind spot of the digital ecosystem, and this is where it kind of comes into picture. If we move ahead, and it's not really only about the data and the sources of data where AI is helping us access the sources of data, analyzing it, correlating it, bringing everything together, get a fuller picture, more actionable picture. It's also how we interact with that data And Soham actually touched upon that when he was talking about his experience, and he's like, it's not, I don't necessarily want a report that's sitting somewhere. I want to interact with that data. So the traditional model, how we've done it, whether it's a brand health or any other, for that matter, any other market research project, you start with research, move to report, presentation, follow-up, and that's changed, where you're now interacting with data, where you do the research and you create a mechanism where you're able to interact, explore, and diagnose the data. Just the last slide after this. So here is what, whether it's us or whether it's anyone else, your deliverables end with an interactive platform where you're able to create charts, you're able to answer questions, you're able to create summary reports. Your dependence on people per se is reducing, or like Soham said, productivity is increasing, where every time I don't need to pick up the phone as a brand custodian to the agency for a follow-up question and come back. You're able to interact with the data, understand that data, you're able to create your reports and get what you need. It becomes much more, data becomes much more actionable, it's much more democratized, and you're getting the ready actionable product at your, as you kind of finish off a project, and that becomes a living document or a living process that you can live with throughout the process of the research and even after.
Sure. I think thanks for helping me with a few minutes, Faisal. That was spot on. A quick question to you, Faisal, and then perhaps to Ashwani. Uh, so, so you did mention about interacting with information that came out of a survey, right? It was the linearity that you put up is transforming to some other linearity, which is here's the information, now explore, ask your questions, diagnose, and here is your answer, right? From your experience of putting up a screen like that, are you really seeing that shift? That's the question to you. And Ashwani, the question to you is, where does something like your quality score sit in a report like that? Should we start thinking about qualifying it somewhere? Is probably the angle that I'm asking you, Ashwani. And then, perhaps Soham, if you can come in and reflect on what Faisal says or what Faisal complains about, and then share your perspectives. Right? Over to you, Faisal. Yeah.
No, I think there is a shift that's happening. So there are the I still we are still expected to go and present, and say it. They want to hear it from our perspective, because as researchers, I think we are an important asset, and when it comes from us as people, it becomes. But there is a clear transition we're seeing, where there's a growing appreciation, comfort, familiarity with interacting with the data, because the quality is getting better, the report. So what we also do, we request for our clients to give us their template. We can train the system in their templates when they're generating reports, or if they're weekly reports or monthly reports, it actually auto generates it from there. But like Soham initially said, productivity has gone multifold. I used to have a 10-member team pre-AI. I don't need that 10-member team. Gamma writes the reports. I've got the charting done internally. We don't need a charting team. And of course, we've got QC agents to do the QC checks and everything. So there are mechanisms around quality control, but that's, yeah.
Yeah, Sundar. Yeah. So yeah, coming to the stages where we can use this score. First is like only you want to check that responded is behavior is not good or enough. So there is some signals is coming from the websites or web browser. So we can decide on based on that multiple signals how this user is behaving, and then you can decide. But later on, the other thing is like if you have a full access to the questions data and other things like how the answer has been given. So full utilization is stage 2 also, like where you can relate the answers with the previous answer and multiple things, so you can get a more conclusive data. Otherwise there are two phases. First phase is like just based on the whatever behavior data you're getting from first level, you can just take a decision, and if you want full insight, then you can also use the second one. So there are multiple stages.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Soham, over to you for your
I
quick
think
comment.
boiling it down to, I think I'll take the processes part first. I think it's building much more confidence. Uh, Not that there was a lot of lack of it, but it's bringing much more robustness and confidence in what we do and how we test. Like I said, the core philosophies of a concept test may not change, but processes that Ashwani was talking about helps bring more confidence from everyone's part that there are extra processes to ensure that quality continues to stay high. In terms of presenting and not presenting, I think it's contextual, right? So if it's a lot of panel data, and you're still asking your panel partners for some hypothesis you have about something behaving in the market in a certain way, the initial call or the conversation is not about, oh, what's happening there and then, because people already would have known. So it's raising those conversations much higher, and where people are starting from a much more knowledgeable base. In terms of consultation, which we do for a lot of creative assets testing, my point would be that while I might be testing uh, 10 ads for a particular brand, my agency partner may have been testing 100 ads of that particular category. So they would also have equal outside in point of view, and as my current organization always values that, and why not have them and give them their piece, because sometimes you might be too much wedded to what you're testing even at our end. So it's
Makes sense.
contextual. The meetings,
Makes sense.
presenting will
Yes.
not die. Just to
Sure.
answer Faisal, we
Yeah,
still use your presence.
yeah, and I think expertise is valued, like you rightly
Yes.
said, Faisal, and that's perhaps why we are needed in the room. So I'll just take a few minutes to make some announcements. Just stay on, so that I can formally thank you. Sandesh, can you put up that slide? All right. So those of you in Mumbai, the sports league is on the 8th and 9th in Mumbai. Please join it. If you need more details, get onto the website. The other piece of information is our MRSI annual market research seminar is coming up. As you all know, as members, you get some early bird offers. The event is scheduled for the 13th and 14th October. Just watch out your inboxes for more information. This year it will be in Mumbai. And the theme is appropriately at the end of this session is the next human, right? So stay tuned. Thank you all. Thank you, Faisal, Soham, and Ashwani, for taking time to be with us and sharing your experiences. I have benefited. I'm sure our audience have benefited, and our team from the MRSI Directorate will be in touch with you on the recording. And we request you to share it within your network on your LinkedIn and social media profiles. So please drive the message far and wide on behalf of the MRSI. Thanks a lot. Thank you, audience. Wonderful July afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you and good day.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.